Fortnite has its good things, but it also has its bad things. With the new things that Fortnite is adding, people are just getting upset, and then it might not be as fun. So, is Fortnite going downhill?
Dear Epic Games, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the triumphs.
But ladies and gentlemen, there's no way anyone beats him! Your Fortnite World Champion!
Booga.
For the heartbreak.
Just be so sad, bro. I really just threw this. I'm so mad, bro. I should have got top 10 easy, bro. I'm depressed.
For the laughs.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up!
Let's party! Let's go!
Thank you for the tears.
Remember me, though I have to travel far, remember me.
But unfortunately,
Bro,
I am
what?
not writing this letter to thank you. I am writing because, like many of my fellow players, I am desperate. The new seasons are becoming more and more unplayable.
No, this is so real, bro. So
And
real.
some of us players and creators just can't do it anymore.
That's why I'm gonna just go do some fun shit, you know? Just gotta go live my life.
I've had enough. I can't even. I'm leaving.
No way.
I'm done. In fact, I'm honestly, dude. I'm not even gonna. I gotta.
Now that's what I feel about Fortnite sometimes. Like, the cars this season are terrible. Like, it's just not fun to play anymore. I haven't played this season as much, so I feel like Fortnite might be going downhill if they're not changing anything soon.
I take a break from streaming, dude.
So I write this letter as my final plea. Epic Games, please save Fortnite. On Friday, May 24th, Fortnite dropped Chapter 5, Season 3, Wrecked. And the only thing that's been wrecked is my mental health after playing this update for more than 2 games at a time. Look, person to complain about the Fortnite meta because I'm bad at the game regardless. But if I get run over by one more car... Okay, calm down, Timmy. But seriously, Epic, you have got to be kidding us. For those of you that haven't played the new Fortnite season yet, I'm telling you, these cars are worse than the mechs from Season X.
I'm gonna keep typing. I'm gonna need math soon.
Killed one.
Grabbing this kid.
Saying that the cars are worse than the mechs is pretty big to say, because the mechs are terrible and the cars are terrible. So I feel like they're pretty equal. Something needs to change here. Like, come on, Fortnite, let's lock in. And yeah.
Kill two, killing more. Kill 2, kill 3.
I think the last time Epic fumbled this hard was Chapter 1, Season 10 with the mechs, and then Chapter 2, Season 1.
Anyways, enough of me ranting. You're probably wondering why I've gathered you all here today. So here's the plan. First, I'm gonna talk about Epic's most popular seasons and break down why I think they're so successful. Then I'm going to absolutely roast some of the worst seasons so far. And then for my grand finale, I'll be explaining everything that's wrong with the new Chapter 5 Season 3, and more importantly, how Epic can fix this. So stick around for the very simple solutions that can save Fortnite. If we're gonna be talking about the best seasons, there's no better place to start than the beginning. Chapter 1, Season 1, First Steps. This is the season that took the entire world by storm. The funniest thing about this season is that it was never actually supposed to happen. Before Fortnite Battle Royale came out, Fortnite was a zombie survival game. But the Battle Royale was added as a last-ditch effort to save the project. And people loved it. Like, really loved it. The only problem is this insane success took Epic Games completely by surprise. They had to figure out very quickly how they were going to continuously update and improve on a battle royale that they didn't even plan on making. So after the Season 0 era where there weren't any seasons, we got the first ever official Fortnite season, Season 1. And because this was the first ever Fortnite season, it was incredibly basic. No mechs or aliens or Marvel characters.
I did not start in Chapter 1 or Season 1. I started in Chapter 2, Season 8, which is kind of late. Kind of sucks, but, you know, who cares? Who cares anyway? But when they brought back OG Season in November, it was actually fun because there was nothing too complicated. Like, we didn't even have cars we could drive, I don't think. We just had the the golf carts, and that was it. Nothing too overpowered. It was just basic, simple. The guns were good, and it was just fun to play. Now there's just too much, and it's causing a lot of chaos.
They didn't even have a battle pass yet. And even though this season was lacking on basically everything, the one thing that it wasn't lacking on was simplicity. And to be honest with you, looking back, that was a refreshing take on most video games. With all the overpowered items and weapons that the game has today, and all the other craziness of Battle Royale games at the time, anyone could just pick this game up and play. You didn't have to watch 20 different tips and tricks videos to find out the optimal drop point to get access to Peter Griffin's magical pistol before he critted on you. Whatever. Anyways, at the end of the day, it's very obvious why Season 1 was so popular. It was simple. However, a season I loved even more than Chapter 1 Season 1 was Chapter 1 Season 3. And this is where Fortnite really started to get into the swing of things. This was one of the first themed seasons, and it was all based around space exploration. The Battle Pass had a ton of cool space-themed skins, and of course, the infamous John Wick skin, also known as the Reaper, because Epic Games didn't want to get sued. This was basically before Fortnite did any big collaborations, so even though we all called it the John Wick skin, it actually wasn't even really the John Wick skin. That just goes to show how strong of a community Fortnite had at this time. There was no worry about overpowered items or the balance of the game. People were just enjoying it for what it was, and that was Fortnite. This is also the season that started Fortnite's main storyline, with the whole meteor of impending doom thing. For pretty much the whole season, there was just a meteor hanging above the map, slowly getting closer and closer. Plus, throughout the season, little meteors would strike the map during the game. This was a fun little event that didn't change the game.
One thing that I do like is the mini live events that Fortnite's been doing. When they started Chapter 5, the hand with the Pandora's box, and then this one with the storm and the sandstorm and all that stuff. I think those are great, and they hype everybody up for the next season. And yeah, I think those are good, and those should be continued. What do you guys think? In the comments.
Play too much, but it did do a good job at keeping Fortnite fresh. And that's a really important point that I want to hit early on in this video. I'm not saying that I don't enjoy change in Fortnite. In fact, I think one of the reasons that Fortnite has stayed relevant for so long is that they've continuously updated and changed the game to keep players interested. It's just that Epic has gone too far so many times when trying to impress us and ends up overcomplicating things. During the live event at the end of the season, the meteor crashes down, destroying Dusty Depot and turning it into Dusty Divot. Again, another fantastic and captivating moment that brought the community together that didn't cause anybody to want to tear hairs out of their head. What made this season so special was how accessible it was. In addition to Fortnite being popular on PC and console, they also had just released on iOS, which introduced a whole new group of players to the game. The meta still wasn't as complex as it was today, but it started to get more advanced and a little bit more fun in my opinion, because there was more that you could do on the map. It was also around this time that people started to realize how important building would become. And it was also the introduction of the iconic supply llama. I can't imagine Fortnite without that cute little guy. And the last point I want to talk about in Chapter 1 Season 3, and this is something I'll touch on again later in the video, is the loot pool. If you look at the weapons that were in the game at this time, it was very simple. You had the regular assault rifle and the burst assault rifle, and the lesser used scoped assault rifles and light machine guns. And then on the shotgun side, we had the pump shotgun, the tac shotgun, and the heavy shotgun. Honestly, all of them were relatively balanced, and although a lot of people carried the pump, especially in competitive play, it was kind of like a 50-50 on which shotgun people preferred to carry, which is just more evidence of how balanced this season was. Furthermore, you had submachine guns like the TAC SMG and the Suppress SMG, which although were pretty good weapons at the time, weren't really overpowered. There was also other weapons in the game being used like sniper rifles and hand cannons, but again, it wasn't like you could look at any single one of these weapons or items and say that it was far better than the rest. Perhaps the only item you could say was pretty ridiculous was the rocket launchers, but those weren't readily available.
The OG loot pool is so balanced and good. We just need the simple guns. Why are they adding guns that we have to mod, bro? This is not Call of Duty. This is Fortnite, bro. They're good guns, and it's pretty balanced, to be honest. I know we need changes. I feel like it would get boring after a while. But, sometimes I wish we could go back. You never know. You never know. I guess we do need change, but not too much change.
available, and it was pretty hard to find them. In addition, the launch pad was still in the game at this point, which I think is the biggest thing that Epic Games should be adding back. We also had the damage traps, which in my opinion, other than the rocket launcher, were probably the most overpowered thing on the map, and even those weren't crazy, they were pretty skill-based. So I'm going to talk about the loot pools of other seasons later on in the video, but I just wanted to remind you guys that that's definitely a massive part of the issues that I think are happening in current day Fortnite. But for now, let's talk about my next favorite season, Chapter 1, Season 8, X Marks the Spot. And this was one of the best seasons of all time as far as cosmetics, in my opinion. It was pirate themed, and they had a free battle pass. I mean, who doesn't love free stuff? In addition to the free battle pass, Epic also added an awesome new POI, the Volcano. The Volcano POI was a really great example of Epic adding something to the game that's very different and large, but doesn't make...
I said that's a cool skin you got there.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude.
How do you get that skin? I thought you didn't pay money for this game.
Actually don't.
make the game uncompetitive. You see, landing at the volcano, it was a little bit difficult to fight in the volcano, but around it, it wasn't difficult at all, and it was just a small portion of the map. It wasn't like the mechs that we're gonna see later that stomp all over the map and give you nowhere to run away to. In addition, Epic did add the hamster balls, or ballers as we like to call them. In my opinion, I actually really enjoyed the addition of these. At first, they were a little bit overpowered, but after they nerfed them and they had very little damage and were easily shot out, I actually think it was a really interesting addition to the meta, because although they added a lot of mobility, they didn't have any damage capabilities, which meant that you could just get away from them or shoot them out pretty easily. In addition to the new POIs and the new mobility, there was a very balanced loot pool, not to mention there was still Siphon in the game at this time. And this is another big point that I want to hit, and I'm interested what you guys think about this as well. In my opinion, Siphon actually helps balance the game really well. Some people might say that, you know, really good players can go get eliminations and just rejuvenate their health. Well, that might be true. If there's no Siphon, nobody wants to fight, and then it's just these stacked lobbies that nobody really wants to play, especially in the casual game mode.
They definitely should add Siphon back. Like, they did add it as a medallion, which was good, but like, it'd be so much better if everyone had it. I guess, I feel like that'd be fair, you know. If I had Siphon, I feel like people would definitely push people more. And, you know, that would just get the lobbies going down quicker instead of people just camping the whole game. Yeah, they should just add Siphon back.
I think Siphon is a great motivator for people to fight each other, which overall is really good for the game. In addition to the meta, this season also has a lot of significance from the competitive side of the game, because most of the qualifying matches for the World Cup were actually held during this season. And at this time, there were 40 million players that tried to join the Fortnite World Cup. This just goes to show you how awesome this season was, but that's going to change very soon, and we'll talk about that shortly. But before I get on to the next season, I definitely have to give one massive shout out from Chapter 1, Season 8 that I think is the best addition of all, and that is the Peely skin. Definitely my favorite. You can see me rocking it all the time. At the end of Chapter 1, Season 8, we also saw what I think is the best Fortnite event of all time, the one where we were able to unvault an item. I think that is the coolest thing ever, because we actually got to be so involved in the loot pool and selection of the game. Of course, the players chose the drum gun, which sometimes could be a bit overpowered, but it wasn't like a gimmick. It was just a gun that if you shot accurately would get you a lot of damage, and in my opinion, that's what makes a game balanced, when skill is actually what helps you get better, not some gimmick mech suit or crazy car that shoots out rockets. And before the next season, I wanted to remind you guys, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the summer. If you guys could hit the subscribe button down below and help me reach my goal, that would mean so much.
Guys, sub to this guy.
Moving on to the next season that I really love, we're moving into Chapter 2, and more specifically Chapter 2, Season 2. This was the top secret agent themed battle pass. And again, this season brought some huge changes without making it feel like an entirely different game. First of all, we saw the bosses and mythics introduced into the game. In my opinion, this is one of the best things that Epic has ever done. I think that these mythics, although are technically overpowered weapons, you had to earn them and fight for them. Unlike some of these other things that we're gonna see later on in the video, where you can just land somewhere that has a car or a mech suit or an overpowered weapon and get it. With these, you had to fight for them and kill the boss. So I think that this is inherently balanced, balance because you don't just get them for free, the better players are going to get these weapons. Now, bosses, or AI, have become a staple in Fortnite's meta. We even saw the addition of the medallions that drop from these bosses when you eliminate them during Chapter 5. And this is honestly an interesting addition to the game, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Despite being a huge change to the meta, it didn't really fundamentally change how people played the game. The main meta at this time still revolved around having good aim and being able to build fast and get yourself out of tough situations. At the end of the day, a mythic gun doesn't make up for somebody who can't aim. Also, from a cosmetic standpoint, this is one of the first major collaborations that Epic did by joining up with Deadpool to release a skin. And speaking of collaborations, I think another thing that Epic has done poorly recently is just overdo it with the collaborations, and we're basically getting like 3 or 4 every single season, and it kind of lost that special feeling. Back then, when we saw something like Deadpool or Thanos or Batman join the game, it was a really special moment for everybody, and now it just kind of happens all the time. Okay, before I move on to the seasons that I hate, I do want to give an honorable mention to the OG Fortnite season that we saw last year. I won't spend too much time talking about it because it's very similar to some of the OG seasons that we...
The OG season that they brought back in November was actually one of the, like, really good. It brought back a lot of people. And clearly it did, because it was actually really fun. Like, again, simple loot. It was just fun to play. It just wasn't too complicated, nothing too overpowered. And, yeah, they definitely should keep doing this.
We've just talked about, but I wanted to make a very clear point of why it was so successful and why I hope that they'll bring it back not once, but even potentially permanently. First and foremost, nostalgia. Although it's not really part of the game's mechanics, I do have to admit the huge success of this season definitely has to be partly attributed to the fact that people wanted to relive what they were going through in their lives at that time. But more importantly, and something that I've already touched on a lot in this video, was the simplicity of this season. I feel like this is a recurring theme with the overall positive Fortnite season, is that they're very easy to play and easily accessible, and something that you'll see is missing from the bad season. And speaking of bad,
that OG season, that had like really, I like the battle pass of that season, where they like joined 2 skins to make 1 skin, like the OG skins. I think that was a very cool idea, I guess. Yeah.
Seasons, let's move on to the more serious and negative part of this video, starting with Chapter 1, Season 9, The Future Is Yours. This seemed to be the first season where Fortnite was sort of running out of ideas. A lot of people have nostalgia with this season, myself included, because it was the season of the World Cup, but honestly, I don't think that makes up for the fact that this season was just mid.
All right, Season 9. I tell you what, this is the first season that started off, and I was like, oof, I don't know about this, Chief.
To start off with, they took away the pump shotguns for the much less balanced and skillful combat shotguns. And I don't even think they worked for the first few days. This change was wild. Pump shotguns worked best at a short range while doing minimal damage from a distance. However, the combat shotguns were absolutely overpowered from long distance, which let players, especially in the competitive meta, just shoot everyone from far away out of midair.
Got her. Coming out nice. Let's go. Good wait.
Of course, a change like this to the casual community might not mean a lot, but it did have a huge impact on the competitive meta. And honestly, for the casual meta as well. Before, you had to get up close and personal if you wanted to fight somebody, but now you were able to take shots from 5 or 6 boxes away and still do significant damage. On top of that, the new POIs were just uninteresting. In my opinion, the Neo Tilted change didn't really do much, but add a little bit of movement and reskin an iconic POI that we should have never gotten rid of in the first place. I think this was perhaps the first season that people were genuinely disappointed in the direction of Fortnite. However, with the World Cup going on, it was kind of masked, and the season wasn't unplayable, unlike the next season on my list, Chapter 1, Season X, Out of Time. This was the season right after Season 9. Fortnite fans remember it for one thing and one thing only: mechs.
So I knew the mechs were in Chapter 1. But when I played in Chapter 2, Season 8, I think that they were there. Because I remember I used them. Like, did they? I'm pretty sure they brought them back in Chapter 2, Season 8. Because I remember I was like, you can do emotes with it. And I was like, I don't know, shocked by that or something. That's the only thing I remember. And I was like, this is cool, I guess. But, like, they did bring it back in Chapter 2, Season 8, I'm pretty sure. Because I do remember playing with them a little bit. and they were pretty good, I think. But that was like a long time ago. I think 3 years ago.
Oh my god, this game is so bad, bro. I'm about to just uninstall.
A word that strikes fear into the hearts of Fortnite players everywhere. Not only were they overpowered, but also insanely buggy.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa! What?
Anything possibly good about this season was entirely overshadowed by these horrible mechs. They had 1,000 hit points of damage when they were introduced, making them incredibly difficult to kill. People hated these mechs so much and thought that they were way too OP on launch. And instead of nerfing them, Epic Games thought it would be good to double down and buff them with an extra 200 HP. Just to, you know, make everyone a little bit more mad. Why not? This was one of the first moments in casual and competitive Fortnite where both sides agreed that the mechs were unfair, and Epic Games seemed to just not listen to the community. The mechs were also basically immune to builds, as their weapons and movement functions destroyed them instantly. And if that's not bad enough, the mechs had a self-destruct function that hits any nearby player with a whopping 100 damage. You could basically run in with your mech, hit self-destruct, hop out and run away, and destroy all the enemies around you. Yeah, this season was rough. The constant need to protect yourself rather than be able to enjoy a more fast-paced, exciting style of gameplay made the season very boring. But not quite as boring as Chapter 2, Season 6, Primal. The Primal season is laughable. It's probably the most notoriously bad season in the history of Fortnite, and I think almost everybody listening to this will agree. Everything about this season was different. Epic Games added this weird giant spire to the middle of the map, along with a whole Primal biome and theme. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with the plot of Fortnite? Good question. Apparently, when the 0 point exploded in Season 5, it sent everyone back in time, so now there's a big pointy thing in the middle of the map. Duh. Regardless of the subpar lore, however, the map wasn't the only questionable part of Chapter 2, Season 6. Honestly, the most normal part of the whole update might have been the map. What everyone hated the most was the changes to the loot pool. The biggest change this season was to the weapon pool that introduced primal and makeshift weapons.
Yesterday, Laserbeam put out a tweet. He said, "Makeshift ruined Fortnite." Some people are not a fan of it, clearly by this tweet from Laserbeam and tweets from a lot of...
Even though I didn't play in this season, I did use these guns in like creative maps and modes before, and they were pretty bad, to be honest with you. So I guess I understand why this was bad. I guess the loot pool was not the best.
Pro players, they're not a fan of the makeshift weapons.
This was the first time we'll have seen any weapon crafting added into Fortnite. Safe to say this wasn't the best introduction. Today, Fortnite's weapon crafting system revolves around editing weapon mods to your liking. But back in Chapter 2, Season 6, it was not just for looks or for a better scope, it was essential to your survival, and honestly, it was very confusing.
When you get a makeshift weapon, so that is a weapon that you find on the ground, it is makeshift, which means that you can now craft it into mechanical or primal. The way you do it is, to get a primal weapon, you need animal parts, you need bones. The way you get them is either by killing wolves or killing boars. You'll find wolves and boars in different areas around the map, usually in more wooded areas, but all you gotta do is find a pack of those, you kill them, they drop the bones, and then you use the bones to upgrade your makeshift weapon to a primal weapon. How you make a mechanical weapon is by breaking down mechanical objects, like breaking down a car or a truck or rusty cars.
This system completely changed how people played the game. If you like a more run and gun, fast-paced playstyle, these changes made that completely obsolete. Now you had to grind for materials just to upgrade your weapon, let alone build. Overall, it made the game way more boring than it should have been, and personally, I'm glad that that season is way behind us.
I do remember Chapter 2, Season 8. They had like these benches, and you had to get like, when you pickaxe cars, you'd get like gears and like metal parts so you could upgrade your weapon to like, let's say, a blue rarity to a purple rarity. I do remember that. So I think they introduced that maybe this season or next season. I'm not sure exactly, but I think that was actually a good idea, just so you could get a better rarity, I guess. I feel like that was pretty good.
I think when you boil it down, the main issue with Primal Season was that it was confusing. Fortnite needs to go back to their simple roots if they want their player base to enjoy the game. So next up, I do want to talk about why Chapter 5, Season 3, our current season, is the worst Fortnite season to date, but I have one last terrible season from the past that I need to talk about first, and that is Chapter 4, Season 3, Wilds. This season...
Alright, this season, Chapter 4, Season 3, was terrible. Not terrible. I would say decent, mid. The jungle was terrible. There was just too much. But I feel like everything else was good. I guess I liked Chapter 4. I just liked Chapter 4 because I missed Chapter 4 and I don't really like Chapter 5 that much because it doesn't really feel like Fortnite. It kind of feels like a different game. But this season was just not as good. They added some map changes that were not the best. Yeah.
Season is often forgettable because it came out right before the Fortnite OG season dropped, but I definitely did not forget about this. From the previews, the season even looked like it had a lot of potential. I mean, you could literally ride dinosaurs. It doesn't get much cooler than...
I mean, it looked good. I feel like it looked good, but they were like, remember the wasps? Those were terrible. Like, why would Fortnite add those? They just swarm around you and do damage. And then we had the dinosaurs, which were kind of annoying. And I feel like I didn't ride those as much. And then, yeah, I don't know. There's just some things that were not as great.
But unfortunately, Epic found a way to even mess up that idea too. What's the point of having rideable dinosaurs if I can't eat people? Anyway, in addition to adding some boring POIs that were full of cliffs and pitfalls that made me die to fall damage a lot, the battle pass for this season was definitely lackluster. I'm not sure why they chose Optimus Prime as the tier 100 skin. I've never seen someone wear that. Also, not to mention that it was a jungle-themed battle pass, so it just felt like a lazy introduction to another collab that nobody was really asking for. And one of the most annoying parts about this season was the bees. I don't know if you guys remember them, but these things were the worst. You could just get a jar of wasps and throw it at anyone you want. That's too much power for anybody to have. So now that we've gone over some of the best and worst seasons in Fortnite, let's look at what they have in common. I think Fortnite is at its best when it remembers what made it so popular in the first place, and that is building. It was really the only thing that separated it massively from other battle royale games like PUBG and then later on Apex and Warzone. The best seasons were simple and focused on the game's main mechanic, which was building. The best seasons also didn't have any overpowered items like mechs or cars of this season. Instead, they had fair loot pools that gave everyone access to guns of their choice. There should be something to fit every playstyle. Whether you want to sit in a tree like Bush Camp Dad, or snipe opponents from your box, or W key into somebody else's, you should be able to do that. So let's look more at the current meta. Chapter 5, Season 3, Wrecked. I genuinely think this is the worst Fortnite season to date, and hopefully you guys don't think that I'm over-exaggerating because...
Alright, when this season came out, I liked it. I liked all the map changes because I was kind of getting bored of the Chapter 5 Season 1 and 2 map. I feel like I was lying to myself a little bit, saying that it was good, but it really isn't good at all. The cars are too overpowered. We have turrets on the top, and we have grenade launchers that can just get spammed at you. The cars have way more health, and the gas is infinite, so you don't run out, so cars are basically everywhere. And all these attachments are too overpowered. And then we have the fists. The fists are overpowered. They're fun to use, and they're good for mobility. They're very overpowered. And I just think it's too chaotic. I feel like people are in cars most of the game now. Like, literally every game I play, and the end game is always in a car. And, like, if you don't have a car in this game, you're cooked, basically.
I do truly believe this, and I'll explain a little bit more why. And I can already hear the haters saying nobody hates Fortnite more than Fortnite players, which is completely true. It is frustrating sometimes. But let me tell you why a bad update in Fortnite is more frustrating than it is in any other game.
Also to mention, the boss cars are terrible. Like, those were overpowered. You regenerated health and you had infinite nitro. Well, you still have that, but like, those were just insane, and every time you had one, that thing would just destroy you.
Normally, when competitive games update, minor changes in the meta are to be expected. If we look at a very popular game like Valorant, when they add a new character, it isn't just automatically overpowered or overplayed, it's slowly either nerfed or buffed based on the community's feedback. And therefore, people who are playing the game competitively aren't forced to create an entirely new game plan last minute. I get that this may be different for some of the more casual players, but it is fair to recognize that there is a casual and competitive side to Fortnite, and we should be looking to make both sides happy. Fortnite, on the other hand, has massive changes to the game pretty much every season, and if these changes are too big, a lot of the players are unable to catch up before the season ends, and then a whole new set of rules, weapons, and mobility come out. It's a lot, and it might not matter to casual players, but for the pro and competitive communities, these changes could be the difference between tens of thousands of dollars in prizes. So that's why you see way more angry Fortnite players than in any other game. Anyways, Chapter 5 Season 3 Wrecked takes on a new apocalyptic theme. Just based on the trailers, I was pretty excited for this one. I didn't love the new skins, but honestly, I think a post-apocalyptic season would be really, really cool, and who doesn't love Fallout? Unfortunately, after loading up the game and waiting for like an hour for it to download on my terrible Wi-Fi, I found myself in the middle of a chaotic car-filled mess. The main focus of this update is cars. Driving cars, modding cars, stealing cars, blowing up cars, and eliminating other players with your car. And these aren't like the old Fortnite cars that were made for mobility. They're freakish, souped up with overpowered guns, grenade launchers, cow catchers, and don't even think about going up against one of these monsters without your own car.
Yeah.
That clip right there is literally the average fight in Fortnite now.
Yeah, I will not be playing this season.
Honestly, you might as well not even have any other weapons than your car, because on foot, you are dead. Not to mention, there's a massive battle bus that you can get on with your squad and destroy everybody with. And I know what you're thinking. It's Fortnite. Why don't you just build and protect yourself? Well, unfortunately, all of the cars absolutely obliterate builds with no issues, including metal. Whether it's with their grenade launcher or with a cow catcher, it's easy to just destroy anybody who's trying to protect themselves. So essentially, this update has made the two main functions of Fortnite, which are building and shooting, pretty much useless. There aren't even multiple usable playstyles here. It's literally just get a car or you die. If you want a traditional Fortnite game, you might as well not even play this season, because you are not going to get it. And clearly, a lot of people have listened to that advice, because this new update has the lowest player count since the launch of...
This season, like, I haven't even played that many Battle Royale games. I've been playing a lot more creative this season, and I actually started playing a different game, like first-person shooter games. And I honestly am enjoying them a little bit more. Like, I just can't with the cars. It's terrible.
Chapter 5. But not to worry, Fortnite fans. Timmy FNBR is here to save the day. I have an absolutely perfect solution to solve all of our issues, and I'm going to share it with you now under one circumstance. You guys, one, need to subscribe to the video, and two, you need to share this with Epic Games so that they can hear what I'm about to say. Here we go. Epic Games, if you're listening, grab a notepad and a pen. Got it? Good? Okay, let's go. Literally, just have a competitive loot pool. Not that hard. I mean, I know that sounds really simple, and this was a really long video to get to that one sentence, but if you just had a different competitive versus casual loot pool, then players like me who don't want to be destroyed by Chun-Li in her giant kitted out pavement stomper have some place to nicely play our simple, silly little Fortnite matches with our building. Whatever. But listen, Epic Games, I promise you guys, I think this could bring back millions of players, and I just really want what's best for Fortnite, as does everyone watching this video. So if you guys could just do me a favor and save Fortnite so that I still have a job, I'd really appreciate it. Sincerely, Timmy, and literally everybody else that plays Fortnite.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for the video today. Make sure to go subscribe to Timmy FNBR. He has a lot of good content, and make sure to sub to me. On the way to 7K, only 500 subs more. And what do you guys think of Chapter 5, Season 3?